I'd like to call to order Londonderry Budget Committee meeting. Today is September 23rd. It is 7 p.m. Let's start off with a Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right, so one thing real quick, I just wanted to welcome Christine Patton back to the Budget Committee. She had informed the town council that she is pulling her letter of resignation and requested if they would consider pulling that. Their last meeting, they did discuss that and had made the determination to welcome you back. So welcome and thank you for coming back.
Thank you for taking me back.
Very,
I know I left you in the lurch with all the excitement over the meetings later.
Yes. All right, so public comment, as everyone knows, we have two opportunities of public comment allow the opportunity to come in and discuss any budgetary stuff. This time, I'd like to invite anyone to come up. Seeing none, we'll move on. Old business, acceptance of minutes. So one change on the agenda, it does say June 24th meeting minutes. There were meeting minutes also for August 25th and August 26th, so we'll vote on that. The reason why we have minutes for those two meetings, it was the school tours. We had a quorum, and I felt it was important to have minutes because of a quorum. So is there any discussion regarding June 24th, August 25th, or August 26th minutes? All right, seeing none, can we vote on them all at once, or?
Yep. We can.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, do I have a motion to accept those three meetings? Motion from Mr. Joseph,
Second.
second from Tim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. New business, upcoming budget meetings and attendance expectations. So we're getting into our bread and butter. We're coming into budget season, and I think you're really, Joseph, you're really the only one. You're Nick, the new guy here, so haven't come into this. So my expectations for these meetings is for you to attend. If there is something that you cannot attend, I expect a phone call. If it's a couple minutes before, I would prefer more than that, but sometimes emergencies happen. But I would like to at least have a heads up. But my expectation for everyone to be there. It's important for us. We are, as I've stated before, we're the eyes, the ears, and the advocate of the community, of the taxpayer, and I think it's important for us to be involved. We are. I've also said this before. Together, we're better, and I think we bring a unique, a multiple different set of views from. Views towards things, and we need to be there. That's why we're elected. So if you cannot make it, call me. If you can't get a hold of me, call Jonathan. Work your way down. But I should be able to be available. So,
just a quick question: are we going to have like a calendar set up like we did last time, just showing some of the dates?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. That was very helpful.
So as soon as we get that information from the town and the schools, I know we have a couple dates. Specifically November 16th for the town, which is a Saturday, and then for the schools 11/23, 12/2, 12/9, and 12/16. Those are what we have so far. But I will put out a calendar for everybody as soon as you get it. Okay, thank you, Jen. Appreciate that. Any save rounds on that? Any comments, questions? All right, good. Community Services Grant Program Update. So I'd like to kind of discuss with everyone regarding, I know we've received 8 so far, 8 applications, or is it
7, 1 duplicate.
Okay. So 7 applications from the community. my thought of pushing it out to the rest of the BudCom now, I'm torn. Why am I torn is because one, I want us all to make the decision on everything as fair as possible. And I think if we push it out to the rest of the budget committee all at once after the deadline, everybody will be able to have the same glimpse at it and the same time to digest it and the same time to make the best decision. Are there any, or, you know, if anyone really wants them to be pushed out now, what we've received so far, I'm fine with that. I just didn't know.
My recommendation would be we hold it until we have everything and it's complete and the deadline has passed. Otherwise, we have different drafts floating around if something changes. And I think we built adequate time into the schedule for review such that we're not going to be rushed if we wait until after the deadline.
Perfect. All right, I agree. So general consensus, we're good with that?
Yep. As long as there's a good enough window, so we're not trying to do it within like a 2-day or something.
Right, no, so what I want to do, my guidance, I want to do the same thing we did last year, where everybody submitted to our secretary how they wanted that $50,000 to be divvied up, broken down, and then we'll do the weighted average like we did the last time. I think that worked really well. Does anyone have a better solution for that?
No, because you do that and then you discuss it.
Yeah,
We'd know
Okay.
then, so it's
All right.
fine.
it starts the discussion, so it's good, yeah. works
Okay,
out.
so we're gonna stay firm with the deadline, which was October
October 1st, I think.
1st.
I think it is.
September 30th, October 1st.
Yeah,
It's one of the
October
Fridays.
1st. So on that deadline, Tim, because I know that, you know, I delegated that, to, you know, the community services,
You want me just to cut the website off at that point?
cut the website off at that
Okay.
point, and then if you can send out all the applications, or I'm sorry, all blind copy everybody on the budget committee.
How about I send it to you to send out rather than
Fair
blind
enough.
copy? Okay.
Send it to me, I'll send it out that following day.
Okay.
In my guidance, I would like everybody's breakdown, and we'll send, can you send we'll do the same thing we did last year. I'd like to receive the applications back from everybody, or I'm sorry, the breakdown from everybody by the 10th of October. So that gives you 10 days to review everything. I think that's ample time.
Do you have a form to submit back to you?
Yep,
Certain
we'll
format?
push that out. Can
Okay.
you do the same one similar as last year? Okay, thank you. Any questions about that? Go ahead.
So I do just for my first time doing it. So for the breakdown of funds, are we putting in like a dollar amount, a percentage amount of the 50,000? How do you want that broken down?
So the town allocates $50,000 for nonprofits that the Londonderry residents are able to, the benefit. And so dollar amount, short answer.
Okay.
So take your however many, you know, if you want, you know, ABC childcare service or whatever to receive all 50,000 and everything else zero, as long as you utilize the $50,000 and disperse it, there's going to be a higher dollar amount. So you'll see what the requesting amount is. You'll see what the previous year's requested amount. You'll see the previous year's awarded amount.
Okay.
And we'll push the historical data as well, you know, for the past several years. So you'll be able to be like, all right, this is where they've been. There's been a spike up. If you want to reach out, I know we kind of handled this a little different last year. If you want to reach out and if you have a specific question, they have the points of contact in the application. Feel free to give them a call and be like, hey, you had a huge spike up this year. You know, why? Well, you know, we helped, you know, 150% of needy families, you know, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So ask your questions, do your investigation, push it back by the 10th. So that our following meeting, which will be October
28th.
Thank you, 28th, we'll be able to see the results of that weighted average and finalize a vote for the recommendation for the council.
Okay.
a suggestion, and I think we had a similar discussion last year, that if we have questions for individual organizations that have requested, don't pick up the phone and call the organization. Make that part of your October 10th reply. We'll catalog the questions, and if those questions need to be asked, we can arrange to do that.
So there's not 10, or not 7 people going to,
Correct.
yeah. I agree with you.
So if you have any questions, want clarification from any of the requesters, make that part of your reply on October 10th.
And one of the 3 of us, or we'll have a discussion, I'll direct,
Yep.
Hey, you were the only one to ask, go ahead and ask.
Exactly.
Okay.
Can we get some clarification too, maybe before we start the whole process about the service types of business? And I think it was something with the Girl Scouts last time, was some discussions going back and forth.
Yeah,
Does it really apply, or should it be included?
as it is, it's a 501c3 organization where the Londonderry residents receive a benefit from that service.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's one of the questions in the application, which by the way, the application has been published on Facebook, has been published on the town website, and Mr. Campo did push out that application, the link to the application, to everyone who has previously applied as well.
Justin is vetting the applications, right? So we shouldn't have to worry about if they qualify or don't qualify, because I just want to confirm, he's taking care of that vetting,
Not necessarily.
not necessarily. I talked to him today, but I
took
forgot
care
to
of the
ask
Girl
him.
Scouts last year and got all of their documentation.
Okay. I was just, you know what, I talked to him today, but I forgot to ask him that. I'll verify that with him too.
Verify that. So, I mean, I think, yeah. Where was the final determination on the Girl Scouts?
Yeah.
They were awarded?
Good, yeah.
Okay. So if
They
there's,
support Londonderry 100%.
right.
Yep.
I think, I think if it's, again, if it's 501c3 and the Londonderry, Londonderry residents are able to benefit from their service, they should be eligible. That, I mean, that's what was on the application
Yeah,
as
if
well.
they qualify what's on the app, then
Right,
they're good. So,
right. So, any questions?
Well, I've been out of touch with Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Other than their projects they do, like up in the common with the walkway and stuff, how else do residents benefit from these 2 groups?
I wanna, last year on their application, I mean, they had a project.
Right.
Do you want to answer that question, Jen? Because
Yeah, because last year they
the
did
picnic
that
tables.
story.
they had the
thing, right?
picnic tables that,
I
you
think
know.
that the benefit is allowing the children
Thank
of the community to participate
Okay.
in,
They
in
ex-
community service
Right.
projects.
I mean, I don't want to get in too much. I don't want to get in too much deliberation about specifics. Let's see what applications come in. Because I think we should look at it as, follow the requirements. Are they a 501c3? Yes or no? If they're not, they're not considered. I mean, they can't even take the application if they
Right.
are not a 501c3. And then, do the Londonderry residents benefit from the funds that you're requesting? Yes or no? Or do you provide services? Do they aid in London, towards Londonderry residents? Yes or no? And if they do, then, if, however you individually determine how funds are appropriated, if you want, say, ABC Food
Yeah, I understand that.
says if you want to give $0 to ABC Food Pantry, then that's absolutely your prerogative, and we most definitely, you can do that. We are, by doing the weighted average, it takes everybody's consideration goes into play. All right.
They have
Yeah.
not applied yet, though. Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts have not applied yet. So they may, but they haven't yet, so.
In any of these organizations that apply, we ask them to tell us what service they provide to the community, what
Right.
support they provide to the community. So it's, I don't want to misstate this. It's not our job to figure out how they benefit the community.
There's
It's their
20
job.
questions that cover
Right.
a lot of that
And they
stuff.
were the questions
Questions you
that we
came up
put
with.
together.
Okay.
Yeah, Yeah,
They're the same ones
we
as
used
last year, because I remember last year, you're like, no, we put all this time in these questions originally. So they are those questions that we have been using for the past several years. That has not changed at all. All right, anything else? All right, liaison reports. DPW.
So I got in contact with John. He said that there's nothing to report.
Okay, thank you. Police department.
Spoke with Chief Hart earlier this week, and he said that, he's talking about the cameras, and it's still in a holding pattern. They're just waiting for the federal grant, working on that, so we'll see where that goes.
Okay.
Staffing's still an issue. I'm still down on staffing, so that's definitely a concern. And the other point that we talked about, major point, was the surplus from last year, and they're gonna apply the surplus towards outfitting the new cars, the police cars.
Okay. Fire department, Mr. Kip.
Yes, I have a list from Chief O'Brien. He provided it late last week, and I've given a copy to Jen for the minutes.
Thank you.
For 2021, the fire department requested a reimbursement from FEMA for $653,295. Fire department ended fiscal year '21 with $180,000 in the black. Due to cutbacks in several lines during the pandemic, not knowing how the reimbursement process was going to work out, they purposely spent less, and that's reflected in the surplus at the end of the year. Are awaiting information on 2 pending grants. The first is a SAFER grant, which is for 4 additional firefighters. Those positions are funded 100% for 3 years. And then the second grant is an AFG, Assistance to Firefighters grant, for over $200,000 for equipment for the ambulances. And then there's another grant we've been waiting on, which is for outfitting the Emergency Operations Center. That will be going to the Governor's Council soon, and we expect to receive $40,000 in October for that. Fire department, like the police department, currently down 6 positions. They're struggling to fill the positions due to a low number of candidates available, but they do have some interviews scheduled. They have a committee formed working on a replacement for the next ambulance, and the chief expects to be going in front of the town council shortly to discuss this issue with them. Plan is to hopefully stay with a current vendor for consistency and ease of maintenance. All the ambulances would be from the same vendor. And the one looking to be replaced, we've had since 1996. And given the number of runs that we have on those vehicles, that's a long lifespan. And October 2nd, which is next Saturday, there's an open house. There'll be station tours and demonstrations. That's to coincide with Fire Prevention Week, which I'll point out for those who are not aware. Fire Prevention Week always includes October 9th, because that's the day of the Great Chicago Fire. Mrs. O'Leary's cow kicked the lantern over on the 8th, and the big fire was on the 9th. So that's how they determine when Fire Prevention Week is.
Thank you.
That's the report.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
CIP?
Can I ask him a question?
Go ahead, please.
Is that, it's gonna come up later in things, do you know if that ambulance is a lease vehicle, or do we own the vehicle by chance?
Well, it's, I mean, if it's 1996, or is it 96 or 2000?
You know what, they're talking about a replacement. I believe we purchased the ambulances. It's tough to lease ambulances because.
I
of
was
the
here for
equipment.
that, and I trying to remember, because it was like 3 different ambulances, and they were talking about whether to buy them out or move them to a lease, and I don't remember what they did with them, so.
I don't recall. I can get an answer to that, though.
Reason I'm saying is because it brings up the, so I'll bring it up later in a minute when it comes up to the finance department,
Okay,
what they got going on.
all right, thank you. CIP?
Yes, CIP, it's a draft CIP report was reviewed during the planning board meeting on September 8th. And basically, no new projects were added to the CIP. We're just moving the projects over 1 more year, carrying them forward. There is just make sure we get this in the minutes, there is a public meeting to go over the CIP on October 6th.
Okay.
That's the key date that I'll be attending that meeting.
You'll be chairing the meeting.
That's a planning board meeting.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you. Ms. Seekman, Town Manager, Finance.
I called Kevin, didn't hear back from him today, but the last time I talked to him, there was nothing really new. I did talk to Justin today. He said that probably on Monday next week, Town Council is going to be going over the master lease program, It's about $1.6 million. They kind of review it every 2-3 years. It's town vehicles, DPW, police, fire, stuff like that. It's not one department, it's all the town vehicles. It goes out for bid like I said, every 2 or 3 years. That's why I was kind of wondering if the ambulances were kind of in on that too, because that might be discussed on Monday at the town council meeting.
I'll check with the fire chief to answer that specific question.
Okay.
Thank you. Town council, I did speak with Chairman Farrell earlier today. He said there was nothing to report on, no updates he wanted me to pass to the budget committee. Does anyone have anything additional beyond that?
No.
All right. Superintendent and finance, Ms. Kinney.
So I reached out to Peter and Scott, and there are no updates. They are going to present the grants on the October 5th meeting. Apparently, they had some challenges with their system upgrade for their financials, and they just closed this week, June. So, should see
Did Peter give you
reports.
any indication in regards to where they were at?
No, he said, we'll see, and maybe I'll tell you on October 5th. Word for word.
Hey. School board, Mr. Siegman, Mr. Gagan.
I'll go over some of the things that we were trying to get
Admin.
from them. Took a while because of the commotion over there a little bit, but some of the things we did find out that finally was it's probably if I just read this from the minutes so you guys understand it,
Are you sorry, school board minutes?
It's kind of in the minutes and it explains it if I try to
Okay,
explain it.
all
So
right, I'll just copy and paste
okay.
from there.
Well, I'll make it, you guys can ask questions if you have a question afterward. The fund balance right now has $2,973,172 in it.
Can you give that number again, please?
$2,973,172,
Thank you.
okay? Now, reserves need to be netted out, but Mr. Curl recommended that they retain $1,250,000 in the UFB, and that the rest of it, which would allow like $1,324,067 to be used as revenue to reduce the December 2021 local education property tax. Okay? That's roughly 28 cents plus or minus on a local education tax dollar. Not your tax dollar, the education side of it. So it'd be a little less if you counted town and school. The school board made a motion on it to pass it, based on those recommendations, and the motion passed 3-0. So it looks like that's what's going to happen based on what they passed. The other thing is there's
What meeting was this, the 7th?
7. Yep. The other thing they did was they talked about the IDEA grant, IDEA. Not sure what that stands for. It's Part B and the preschool grant stuff. They were notified by the Department of Education that we were going to get, for the 2021-2022 school year, $1,064,324.55. Now, that's an increase of $4,535.30 over last year, or over like this year, I guess I should say. They'll be used to cover school district employee salaries. Now, even though we got an increase over last year of like $4,500, that is still not enough to cover all the staff that are in the IDEA program. So it doesn't cover everybody. The preschool fund was a very small increase, so the total IDEA preschool funds is only $27,218.64, and that was also supposed to cover 2 assistants with the LEAP program. So they do get a grant. It's a little more than it was last year, but it's not quite enough to cover everybody. I don't know how that compares to this year. So based on the fluctuation in staff and stuff, I don't know if that's winds out being better or worse than what they were this year. So, and the only other thing was to tell you that it's a moot point at this point, but at one point there was a exploratory process for a memorandum of understanding with Deerfield to send students to Londonderry.
Yeah, Deerfield made the determination.
Yes, they made the determination Londonderry was not selected, so that's off the table, so. That's good.
All right, Mr. Gagnon.
I mean, that pretty much covered it. I mean, I guess because I was waiting for last night for the pool testing because they're going to talk about how much of grant funding was going to cover
Tuesday
that.
night?
Yeah, Tuesday night,
Yeah.
but
They canceled that, yeah.
yeah. So that was the point I was hoping. I guess just Trident's continue its review for the 10-year plan for the school.
Yeah.
And they're currently in collective bargaining agreements with the
Yeah.
unions and stuff as well, so be interesting where that land lies and lands. All right, anything else, any say Browns? All right, second final comment. Anyone from the public who would like to address the budget committee? All right, seeing none. Like to accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Siegman,
I second.
second from Ms. Pat. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Sweet.